Hello, folks. Today I am joined by John in the studio. Lucky
Hello.
devil, not just stuck in a cubby hole in his own room for once.
Yep.
And we're going to be taking a look at a unboxing slash John tool, which we've not done in a while.
Yep.
So Redgrass Games have sent us the couple of prototypes for their new version of their painting handle
Mm-hmm.
to take a look at. So I've done a quick unboxing that we're going to take a look at now. And when we come back, myself and John will take you through what we think about having had a chance to play around with it for a little while.
Okay, folks, so this is the Redgrass Games 360-degree ergonomic handle. This is actually their new version that is coming to Kickstarter that's been sent for us to have a look at. So I have the handle itself, along with a additional cap pack. So taking a look at what you get with the handle, you get a Redgrass disc, which we'll come back to. You get the painting handle itself. You get some putty, and then you get two of these little lids. Now the lids themselves are approximately 30 millimeters diameter. There is a small lip that you can see there, and this is for you to put your putty in. Now, it does say that this is for plastic and resin models and miniatures, approximately 10 to 50 mil bases, and to preserve the mounting putty, keep it covered, starts to lose its adhesiveness, restore it by rolling it between your fingers. So it's similar to a poster tack. Miniature from OnTableTop is not included, which is a shame because it's an eye switch. But I have had this and I've started playing around with it a little bit. So first off, it's very simple. You pop your top on and then you add putty to the top. So if I just do that now, just throw on whatever you need to throw on to fill the actual top, really. You may find you can get away with less, you might need slightly more. But take it off its handle for a moment. All you simply do is press it into place. Good enough. It protrudes slightly above the lip there, so that's grand. And then you find a willing participant. So in this case, I'm going to grab a Venom here. It's probably the biggest. It's a plastic miniature. So he would go on the top, and then you simply rotate with your thumb. And it's a nice size. I've relatively large hands, but it's not a bad size for me. Up until now, I've been using generally corks. The ability to be able to turn it one-handed, and the reason it's for resin and plastic only is there is some form of ratchet in here which will turn very slowly. The weight from a resin or a plastic miniature is not enough to put load onto that ratchet and cause it to turn. I have tried it with a metal model, and there wasn't any major issues with it, but then I did try it with a particularly old lead model, and I thought it may be because the putty wouldn't hold, but the putty has no problem holding that. So it's not the fact that it's it possibly will fall off, although I would imagine they probably don't want you to put metal on it because eventually it will strain it. I had a lead model and it very slowly, I mean incredibly slower than I'm turning it now, started to shift the weight on it. So it just depends. You could get away with metal with this, although they do suggest sticking solely to the resins and plastics. This version is slightly different than the original, and I'll come back to this little thing. This is actually a little metal disc with a 3M adhesive tape on it, and this is because they have included a magnet into the base, as you can hear there. Now, presumably stick this to your worktop, and it means you've always got a solid position where if you're midway through working, if you need a new paint or whatever it happens to be, you can set it down. I've actually noticed I have a large green cutting mat that is in situ on my desk that never gets moved. The magnet is strong enough. If I lift the smaller cutting mat up, I can actually put it under this one. But if I put it between there, even though it's a metal one on the top and not a resin, you need to really give it a bit of a heave before it falls. So as long as you're careful painting, and most people are careful when they're painting anyway, it just removes that that chance of accidentally knocking a piece of work over. I've knocked a few on the floor in the past. Now, like I say, this one comes with 2 caps. So if you are working on something, for example, the model I have started working with is a Batman figure. If you're working on different pieces, you can then just flip between them. So for example, I could be working on Batman. There's my magnet. And maybe I want to work on the base he comes with. So at that point, I would just grab one of my spare lids. Pop it on. And then if I get to a position where I'm finished working on the actual miniature and want to work on the base, it's just a case of swapping over. So the additional cap pack contains 2 more 30mm lids, I'm going to call them, plus another chunk of that putty. To do the 2 caps you get in there, I've used less than half of the putty you get. So as long as it keeps its adhesiveness for a while, that should be plenty. Being able to work on 4 models at a time is nice. So the additional caps are probably going to come in very handy. But yeah, I'm going to have a play around with this, so hopefully in the not too distant there'll be a few tutorials up using these to see how they work. But that is the Redgrass Games painting handle and spare caps.
There we go. So that was a very brief unboxing or unpacking, I suppose.
Yeah.
Doesn't come in a box. So how have you found it, John? You've had a chance to use it a bit more than I have.
Yeah, I've filmed about maybe 6 or 7 videos with it now. It's had a bit of abuse.
Yeah.
I've airbrushed on top of it a lot, so it's slightly different color than it is straight out of the packet, but that's fine. I will say for purely working under camera, it's great because I'm not manipulating anything large around. Like a Citadel handle, I'm not manipulating the whole thing around to rotate the model around. It's just the little top bit. It's comfortable enough, but I'm left-handed, so I'm not holding it the way that nature intended. So I'm holding it in the opposite hand, and it's still fine because it's not particularly made for a left or right hand anyway.
Yeah, it's got a rough symmetry. Well, I think it is more or less symmetrical. Yeah.
I would say that we had the prototype of it in there was a 3D printed prototype they sent out to us a long time ago.
Yes.
And I don't know if I said it in my feedback then, but I thought that the handle was a little thin and perhaps maybe a little too short. Because I've noticed when I'm holding it, if I'm holding it like this, like I have a bit of
I would be the
Yeah,
same.
you sort of slip over it. But I guess
Pan.
you're really going to be holding it more with the top of it up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter so much.
Well, this is the thing I've noticed myself. Because I would generally, let me just grab one of my miniatures down. Up until now, I've been working with either corks, which are much smaller, and you're just sort of pinching them there, and after a while you do start to feel it in your hand, or the old GW hex pots. I have a load of those that are glued too high that I could use, which were a bit bigger, which are more or less that size actually. And the best use for those GW hex pots, because getting paint out of them isn't. But what I've noticed is the whole point of it is you've got that rotation on the head.
Yep.
I'm still getting used to the fact that it's there. It's more a muscle memory thing, because whenever I've been painting initially, and like I said, I've only really been using it with this Batman to start, I keep going to turn the thing instead of just twisting that head slightly. You know, the fact that you can move it incremental amounts without having to move is great, but my mind's not there yet. My mind keeps going, you're so used to holding a cork or whatever, just turn the whole thing.
I found the same on a couple of the videos. When they eventually come out, you'll probably see I won't have anything holding the top of it, and as I'm painting, you'll see the model just slowly start to turn away from me, and I'm like, wait, what are you doing? And I start following it instead of going, oh yeah, by the way, this turns. But yeah, muscle memory is something else you have to train yourself in to remember that that's what that does.
But so far, I've been impressed with what I've seen. My favorite touch is that magnetic base, which the original version didn't have. Now, I haven't bothered sticking this down to anything because my desk becomes an unholy mess on a regular basis, so I don't really know if I want to have somewhere where it's always there. But also because I have like I mentioned in the unboxing, I have one of those self-healing cutting mats here. There's enough magnetism in the base magnet that it will. I can slide this little disc under my cutting mat, and it holds it perfectly, even with that sort of depth between it. And it's nice being able to, if you're finishing something, set it to one side and not have to worry about it tipping over.
I actually had this out priming something, and I was out in our garage, and I was like, well, this is going to fall over. You know, if I start using a rattle can around it. And I was like, hang on, there's a magnet on it. So I found our fridge and just stuck it to the side of our old fridge. I just primed it like that. I just rotated it every bit just to get the primer down. So it's a good magnet.
Oh, it is. I'm not sure what's inside there because you can't open it up without probably breaking it all. But there's a chunky neodymium in there because you can feel the weight anyway.
Yeah.
I think you've just used it on resins and plastics like they suggest as far as models go.
I had a metal model on it, but I will say I had a metal model on it, but I changed out the putty.
Yeah,
I used blue tack instead of the recommended stuff.
Right,
but because I did notice that this is really more for holding something secure rather than almost adhering it to the top of the handle.
Yeah,
I can see why they've done that because it makes it far more reusable.
Yeah,
because once blue tack is mucked around a bit, it starts becoming really weird.
It picks up a lot of particles and just starts stretching out, becoming like dough. Yeah. I've tried it with a couple of different. I tried it with a bolt action metal model, and it actually holds perfectly on this. Yeah. It's light enough. I did try it with an old chunky lead model, and you can actually see it slowly rotating.
Yeah.
So I think it's more a positional thing. Certainly for the 28mm stuff, you can hold a metal model without watching it move, whereas holding a 28mm lead and it's just slowly pivoting on you the whole time as it's following its weight. But
that's down to your muscle memory again, though, Gerry. You gotta
just hold it, just keep tracking it back the whole time. But no, I have to say, from what little I've used it with, I have been quite impressed with it. I like the ability to swap the tops and to pick up spare tops, because I think they suggest that you use enough putty to get a
mound on the top of it.
Mound. I haven't. I've used enough putty to go slightly above the lip.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered is you get enough putty to do the 2 lids plus the 2 spares if you get the spares pack, which means I have an intact bar of that putty that can be used for all them when they do start to lose that adhesiveness. But yeah, just being able to grab a new top for us, because I think the initial one, the first one they released, the top was the top. It was just there permanently. You couldn't swap in, swap out. So having a rake of these set up, especially if you're doing a small squad or if you're doing something that's in parts, being able to have them all and just interchange them without needing multiple handles is particularly good. Yeah. And they're about the size of, I know an awful lot of people use bottle tops, Coke tops, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it is about
they're about the same size, so they don't take up a huge amount of real estate on your desk if you're working on lots of things.
Yeah. All in all, I think it's quite good. The only thing I would say is, if they could, would be to add a rubberized
grip
pad to the inside and the outside a little bit. Not that it's slippy.
Yeah.
But it would feel a bit better in the hand, I think.
Oh, that's right. Like a neoprene type thing, just something to. And it's not particularly slippy, but it is smooth plastic. So if you are doing a lot of painting or when temperature changes, you can imagine that would start to be an issue.
And I think your mentality is, because there's no grippiness to it, that you're going to be holding it a little bit tighter than you should. And what that's going to lead to, obviously, is the same thing with bottle tops and corks and stuff, is you're going to start feeling it in the muscles of your hand anyway.
Yeah.
You might actually lock up a little bit if you're using it a lot.
Interesting. I hadn't even thought about giving it another coat. Now I'm wondering if I've got some sort of sticky pads around that I can stick on it and try.
I'm feeling like trying it myself, but I just don't know what material to use yet.
Neoprene. There's bound to be some mats out there that we don't use anymore. Just cut a chunk out, say nothing.
Let's pick the mats that we hate the most, and let's just make them disappear, Gerry.
Yeah. I think that's key. Well, like John says, all in all, it's pretty good. If they have a chance to tweak anything, that pad idea is a great idea. Obviously, they are doing the additional top packs. I don't know if they're going to do the handles separately as well. I don't know if it's warranted, but me being me, I wouldn't say no if I could pick up a second handle. But
then if you got a second handle, you probably have enough tops and stuff anyway. So it's more the tops, I would say, are the consumable part. Yeah,
valid point. If you're interested, this is now live on Kickstarter and will be for the next 2 weeks. So it finishes on the 4th of June. Redgrass Games. If you're just interested in painting anyway, you should go and have a look at Redgrass Games' website. Angel Heraldez has done a PDF painting guide. He's been using this handle a lot recently, doing some of his studio work for various companies, and he's made a painting guide that's available for free if you subscribe to their newsletter as a PDF download. So it's worth popping by and having a look at that as well.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks very much for joining me, John. It's been a pleasure to see you again.
No problem.
It's been so long.
No, it's terrible.
We're going to move on, folks. We'll speak to you again soon.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.